Fortnite is a game that took the incredibly brilliant concepts of live service games, your mom's credit card, and the mental capacity of a 5-year-old, and decided to turn it into what has now arguably become the greatest VR of all time, to the point that even your 90-year-old grandmother is playing it in her wheelchair with her eyes closed. And now, thanks to the aforementioned 5-year-olds on Call of Duty, the suicide bombers of the Forza franchise, and the talented minds of the music genre thanks to Will Neff, Fortnite is expanding its audience in ways that no one could have thought possible, with the intent to force humankind to submit to their almighty overlord Epic Games and not Bobby Kotick. In this exciting journey back to the realm of me and God's personal hell, we follow one of gaming's most legendary protagonists, a frozen banana, on his quest to experience the brand new world that Epic Games has crafted for us. This includes LEGO Fortnite, the ultimate fantasy of if Minecraft and Tears of the Kingdom decided to get it on in the bedroom, and produce something that was developed by Epic and not Nintendo. You can tell because there's microtransactions. The fast-paced and Eurobeat-filled lands of Rocket Racing, which combines the cars of Rocket League with the gameplay of Mario Kart but without the items. This is because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe already taught us that having items in a racing game will cause some mild anger issues, and now every racer on the market must replicate it somehow. But when you remove these items, what you get is a good game. And the Fortnite Festival, for all of the music lovers to jam out to the soundtrack of Aramanga Sensei, because who wouldn't listen to that when you're in God's personal hell? Or maybe just some random genres like indie rock, K-pop, or I don't know, maybe shoegaze. I haven't revisited this game since this channel surpassed 1,000 subscribers nearly 2 years ago. And when I heard this was most likely Fortnite's biggest update yet, I needed to come back and give it a try. I've been cooking up this video as a surprise to kick off 2024, and trust me, I suffered way too much to make this one. So it's time to grab your V-Bucks, get your slurp juice, purchase the Battle Pass, and hop aboard the Battle Bus, because it's time to revisit the current leader inside the powerhouse of gaming. This is my full review of LEGO Fortnite, Rocket Racing, and the Fortnite Festival, all told in one video, and how Epic Games is changing their game to fit anyone's playstyle, regardless if that means doing some truly crazy things to get it done. I guess the only thing left now is to ask, where we dropping, boys?
Oh, that's hot. That's hot. Let's do this. Leroy!
Ah, yes. Welcome back to Hell, the beautiful lands of where every 13-year-old goes in order to become a man. Let's be frank here, this game may as well be written into the Constitution as a law of the land, that you must play this game at least once, because that's how far its influence has come. This also feels like I'm watching one of the TV shows of all time, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, starring my broke white bum. Fork Knife Battle Piss has 3 new permanent game modes, and let's not beat around the bush and get right into talking about them. I know that this is going to be a long video, and I want to get to the good content and not keep you stalling. That way I don't cause a repeat or a similar scenario to that of the completionist incident. So let's kickstart with the Big Daddy herself, the largest of the 3 game modes, and the one that I think most people came to see. But before that, are you subscribed? You really should be. I plan on making some incredible content this year, and your support will allow me to push through my editing that I call torture and continue to make these videos. So subscribe, it's completely free, and you can always change your mind. Actually, I'm not done yet. I gotta rant about something real quick, so please spare me a few minutes while I do so. That one white guy, a broomstick, that one chick on TV, Rick and Morty featuring Get Swifty, John Wick because it's time to wake the frick up, samurai, Mom, I Want a Pony, the woman pleaser, the default skin that you now must pay for, a Pokemon death, white chick, and dyslexic man, a potential toy and his business associates, several DMCA songs, a band that captures my weekend, it's AIDS, the meltdown of my channel, the discounted Shadowlands bundle, several discounted Scrapyard Barn Find bundles, anime Weebart from Fiverr, and of course, Peter Griffin. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to vent at the item shop real quick. And with all that anger being said, it's time to travel back to 2012 by entering the lands of LEGO Fortnite. Welcome to the lands of I don't know, a 3-year-old's mind, I guess.
doing?
LEGO Fortnite has quite a lot to unpack, so I'm going to talk about it in a little bit of a different way compared to usual. Rather than separating the gameplay and world and making the time sense complicated, I'm going to combine everything into one large segment to make you suffer instead. And we're gonna start by talking about everything regarding the gameplay of LEGO Fortnite, because there's quite a lot that needs to be said. So grab your popcorn, because I'm about to do this quick and painless. But that doesn't mean you're gonna experience pain, because you're going to no matter what. You'll start to notice very quickly that LEGO Fortnite feels like two very specific games. These games in question should come as no surprise to anyone, as they are Minecraft and Breath of the Wild. The Minecraft part comes from things like the random seed you get upon making your world. The fact that you are mining and crafting for resources similar to how you would in survival Minecraft, making better equipment and useful utilities, items, and upgrades with those materials, its never-ending world generation, and building bases and cities to your heart's content. And the Breath of the Wild part, a world full of unique biomes with weather conditions like extreme heat and cold, sounds like a steamy relationship, monsters that will attack you at a moment's notice for looking at them funny, and the calm, quiet sounds of wind and ambience that reminds me of my empty heart. From a gameplay perspective, I'm effectively explaining Minecraft here, but that doesn't mean that Epic thought of adding some things that, while they may seem unique at first, they actually just ripped shiz off of several developers. Most of the things that you will craft will be made through the bench, otherwise known as a crafting table. You can use it to make weapons and gear, as well as charms. You can think of these kind of like armor from Breath of the Wild, giving you defense as well as resistance to various different effects, such as cold, heat, and other related effects. Want to get some rods for a wood type for crafting? Get yourself a lumber mill, otherwise known as any noob in Minecraft with a will to punch a tree, otherwise known as me. How about a grill, which is a furnace, but smaller, so that's actually useful. Don't worry, for the price of $20, you can craft an oven about 20 hours later, and can smelt things about 1 year faster. The $20 is for when you have to force your friend to grind for you. And you don't have to worry, because there's loads of different food options that give bonus health and special effects for eating them, very similar to how it works in Breath of the Wild. How about the stone breaker, which will turn your mined ores into slabs for use in crafting? It's pretty useful, apart from the fact that it takes 7 years to do its job. The same goes for literally everything the game gives you as a utility. How about the spinning wheel? Yes, that's its real name, which can help you make wool, drawstrings, and thread. I'm not exactly used to this though, because last time I checked, World of Employee Harassment dropped this stuff off of boards, so this thing sounds like something a hamster would use, and honestly, I want to use it for its intended purpose. The gem cutter is used to cut gems for crafting uses. Amber, ruby, and sapphire are the only things it will cut, and yes, it takes 12 years for it to cut just one of those gems. I'm starting to see a pattern. The essence table is also pretty cool. It's basically just an enchantment table, but if it had some of its requirements for enchanting ripped straight from Dark Souls, and I hate it. The metal smasher can smelt ores into bars, allowing you to craft new items. Boy, do I love that a rare or epic sword causes this many bars. I almost want to wrap bars instead of going into those dank caves to find ores. Speaking of those dank caves, you're gonna have to go into quite a few of these whilst on your journey. They will be marked on the map as small little mountain icons, and depending on the biome you're in, they can be hard to traverse. Caves in the grasslands are normal and pretty chill, and have marble and granite waiting to be collected. And honestly, you could probably throw a party in these caves and nobody would stop you. Well, except the homeless guy, but that's beside the point. Caves in the Dry Valley and Frostlands, however, are not normal, and much like Link would need in Breath of the Wild, you're gonna need some protection before going inside. Dry Valley caves are hotter than my love life, and can even have lava. Sounds rough. You'll find minerals like ruby, copper, obsidian, and bright core in these caves, as well as amber on the surface around the Dry Valley. In the Frostlands, you'll find iron, malachite, and sapphire, as well as some dogs that want to rip my chode off for failing to properly talk to women. It's best to bring some torches, a few extra swords and pickaxes, and an empty inventory with you when exploring. Don't end up like me and filling your entire inventory with copper and not being able to carry anything else. You're also going to be building your base, in this case a village, as you play LEGO Fortnite. You'll also find out that other LEGO travelers will come to help you on their travels, and will stop by your village from time to time. They'll choose to stay with you and help you out, so long as your village is a high enough level and they have a bed to sleep in. You can have them help you refine minerals, go hunting with you, harvest wood or crops, pretty much anything you want. You can also upgrade your village by adding various things to it, such as utility items, new structures, farms, or defensive structures. You'll also need to provide a set amount of materials as well when upgrading your village. There's actually a real progression path with this entire game mode though. From a difficulty perspective, you're meant to start in the grasslands and work your way into the Dry Valley and end in the Frostlands. But much like Breath of the Wild, you don't necessarily have to do this. You can do it in any order, you're just gonna have a bad time doing it. If you do decide to do this, you're gonna get met with the famous line from Sans Undertale. On days like these, kids like you should be burning in hell. Let's not forget the enemies that you'll come across throughout your adventures, because there's quite a few different enemies that you're going to be facing. From small friends like spiders that like to hide in plain sight, and they even have a version that's wearing an invisibility cloak. This is proving that Epic not only called up Harry Potter recently, but that Epic wants to have people sending them clips on Reddit of why they're dying to nothing, only for them to respond with a troll face and say, get wrecked. There's scorpions too, that way Epic can remind me of my own city. Don't worry, they also have an invisible version.
Oh, you got to be fucking with me.
Skeletons are your big friends to worry about, as you're going to be fighting them in every cave you go into, as well as on the surface at night. And with roughly 8 to 12 different types across the entire game, most of them are pretty similar, but are stronger based on their given locations. Some can melee with their fists, or can have weapons equipped, like pickaxes, swords, and axes. And if they do have weapons equipped, they do love to swing around, causing them to hit you 2 or 3 times in quick succession, and take large chunks of your health in mere seconds. There's also some archers as well that will shoot you from a distance, just to make sure that they can't get destroyed by you for when you make a racial slur. I told them not to drop the hard R. There's also some that throw dynamite at you from a distance, so don't get blown up. You'll also find rollers that love to RKO you into the stratosphere, and love to slash at you with their claws. Wolves are also wandering as well, and they love to try to bite you with their rather small mouths. And you'll be happy to know that yes, these wolves behave just like the ones in Minecraft do, as they'll attack sheep and chickens because they wronged them in their past lives. I love them even more now. You also have blasters that are specific to lava caves in the dry valley. These guys are basically just like rollers, but they have a ticking bomb of C4 on their heads, and will drop blast cores upon death. You're gonna need quite a lot of these, so make sure you're farming them. Don't do what I did, and not bother doing that, and having to run back and forth for several hours farming blast cores, just to smelt some 200 copper into 50 copper bars, just to make the hit video game The Legend of Ken 4 Swordsmen die. The final major enemy is the Brute. These are big, buff, and kinda ugly looking mother ducks that look like they just came from an Evangelion mech cosplay contest. These guys roam the overworld looking for their next victim to smash into the ground at Mach 5 speed. They kinda feel like a dungeon boss to some extent, as they have a small list of mechanics you're gonna have to watch out for. This includes the Fists of Fury, the Piercing Charge, not getting into McDonald's Happy Meal, and shooting from afar.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Brutes, alongside wolves, rollers, spiders, and skeletons, all have their own variants for all 3 map regions, including the Grasslands, the Dry Valley, and the Frostlands. Each of these variants have higher health pools, will hit much harder than their weaker counterparts, and drop better loot. There's also these undead wolves that can only be found in snow caves, which are pretty scary to attack if you don't have any torches like I did. I felt like I was going to get played with in the dark. Wait, that sounds bad. While I've touched on the world in small bits already, let's touch on it in a little more detail here. As mentioned above, there are 3 major areas that you'll come across whilst playing LEGO Fortnite, including the Grasslands, which are basically just Hyrule Field if there wasn't any buildings, otherwise known as Ocarina of Time. The Dry Valley, which is a perfect recreation of what Death Valley looks like during the summer. At least there's some shores and lakes nearby to make it feel like it's worth it. And lastly, we have the Frostlands, the very mountainous and cold area of the map that will truly test if your balls are ready to handle their life's work. So Chief, I'm sorry to tell you, but if you can't handle the Frostlands, then you're probably not going to be able to handle a woman. Every region has its own unique items, like how the Dry Valley has flex wood that quite literally flexes, as well as spicy peppers ripped straight from Breath of the Wild, so we can continue to use them to cook the best dishes known to man, a cure for Chemical X, and Amber so that I can make a fake Amber alert at my village, that way I can scare people away and take down Karen's house. The Frostlands also has my iron so that I can finally make iron tools, and mine some diamonds, hopefully. It's also got snow so that I can actually experience what that's like, cause you know, deserts don't really get snow, mate. Overall though, the gameplay loop of LEGO Fortnite is pretty simple to understand, with a surprisingly decent progression path, given that this is still an open world game, much like its comparison brothers, Minecraft and Breath of the Wild. This game mode provides you with a lot of stuff to do all the time, and rewards the player with new villager slots, new buildings to make, and new items to craft. The world is quite frankly gorgeous and full of life. There has never been a time when I have played Fortnite and thought that it was ugly, and I guess that goes to show how good Unreal Engine can be when it's used by at least 3 talented people. But then again, I'm also playing on max settings, so that may be doing it. With so many enemies to face, villagers to befriend, items to craft, and a whole world to explore, LEGO Fortnite is single-handedly the best game mode to be added to Fortnite alongside Zero Build from a few years ago. But now that we're done talking about this monster, it's time to take a step back and look at the other game modes that came with the Chapter 5 update. Let's start with my second favorite, and the only game mode that I'm probably going to actively play, given that it's a racing game mode, and racing games are my version of crack cocaine. Yes, I'm talking about the one and only Rocket Racing. Wait a minute, why do I hear Eurobeat? Welcome to what I like to imagine is what most of Epic's developers are currently on. High amounts of dopamine and crack. This is clearly because they decided to make their own version of Hot Wheels meets Mario Kart. Rocket Racing doesn't have that much going on from a gameplay standpoint, so let's go over the fundamentals. There are no items or things to use that cause your friends to break their controllers. It's just you and the other drivers racing to be number one. Drifting is going to be your best friend, and similar to games like Need for Speed, Tap to Brake has returned. And while Rocket Racing's use of Tap to Brake isn't an exact carbon copy of the same system from the Need for Speed franchise, it does share some similarities, as turning into a corner and hitting the gas in quick succession will cause your car to drift. And it's really important because you're going to want to build up your boost gauge to get a burst of speed out of a corner or a giant burst of speed going down the front straight to stay up with the pack, just like I'm going to need for when I slide into your Discord DMs. Don't forget the boost pads that you'll find on the track as well, as they will also give you a burst of speed, which you're going to need for when you're running away from the cops given how fast you're going. You also have the ability to jump from walls and to the ceiling, allowing for some pretty strange and very quick racing. It's a pretty neat feature and adds a pretty cool layer on top of very basic racing that makes for both funny and chaotic races. Yet, I still feel like I'm Speed Racer jumping around in the Mach 5 like I'm Super Mario. Much like Mario Kart, Rocket Racing also has a way to get extra boost upon starting the race. However, unlike Mario Kart where it's relatively easy to time, here it's not that simple.
You serious?
It generally falls into hitting the gas right as the light turns green, and I mean right as the light turns green. The boost you get from this does feel a bit random, and it's really hard to tell exactly what the timing is because the timing on some tracks isn't always the same. So I just hope that I'm not stupid, but let's be real, we all know that I'm stupid. I'm just dumb. Rocket Racing has a total of 26 different tracks, many of which are harder than others thanks to the 3 categories of races, that being Novice, Advanced, and Expert. Some of these tracks will require you to master the game's mechanics, like wall driving, drifting, and much more, in order to properly win a race. The best way to describe the difficulty of these tracks, and Rocket Racing as a whole, is comparing it to the engine CC system used to determine difficulty in Mario Kart. Think of Novice tracks as 50cc, Advanced tracks as 100cc, and Expert tracks as 150cc. Even so, you can play with up to 12 people, and the tracks are pretty fun, with lots of tight turns and fast-paced sections, and as you start getting to the Advanced and Expert tracks, more challenges to conquer. There's also loads of different shortcuts scattered across each track, so if you're paying attention, you can start shaving seconds off your lap times and cutting ahead of the pack. You can even play Rocket Racing as a ranked game mode, and work your way up the leaderboards to become the best Fortnite rammer the world has ever seen. And as you rank up, you'll start to race on harder tracks and get better rewards. The world of Rocket Racing, while there isn't that much of one, is pretty dope, and I think that the tracks have a wide diversity of landscapes. And while weather doesn't seem to play a factor into racing as of right now, I sure hope that if Epic does do this, then we get tracks covered in white powder, as well as wet stuff, so that we can have a bigger challenge. The names of some of these tracks are also pretty good too. It does feel like Nintendo wrote them to some extent, but hey, let's not focus on that. Who could forget such names such as Day Drifting, Bone Cavern, Lazy Lake, Puddle Jumper, Pleasant Pit Stop, Anaconda, and my personal favorite, Olympus. I think that basically covers everything about Rocket Racing. So wait a minute, we're not done here, Panda. What do you mean? You're forgetting about the best part. We just need to steal from Forza Veteran to do it. Oh, I know. What is it? We need some Eurobeat up in this biznitch, baby! Oh no. Hit it, DJ!
The Fitness Grand Pacer Test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues. The 20-meter pacer test will begin in 30 seconds. Line up at the start.
Oh no!
That's kind of small.
Well, shit.
God fucking damn it!
Okay, now that that's over with, let's move on to the next game mode. This one is kind of a shock to see, given that, let's be frank, I'd rather hit someone with a guitar or a bass drum rather than actually use it for its intended purpose. Yes, I am of course talking about the Fortnite Festival. It's about time that I finally played a Guitar Hero. Thank God this isn't my first experience with it, because my first experience comes from seeing the horrors of Asai over the years. Although the real horrors is the songs that I'll be able to make someday with this game mode. There isn't really that much to talk about with the Fortnite Festival, so I'm just gonna run through it really quick. You'll be able to sing the most DMCA-able songs imaginable on the festival main stage. So I hope you were ready to get DMCA'd into the Shadow Realm, because that's what's about to happen. What, you thought I was gonna play them and get demonetized even though I'm not monetized? Yeah, no. You can pick between playing the bass, drums, vocals, or lead as your instrument, each having their own keys to press during your performance. You can also select how many songs you want to play in a session, the difficulty, and what instrument you want to play before starting your match. I don't think I need to explain to you how to press 4 or 5 buttons to form a song, do I? You'll sometimes get breaks between playing depending on the song in question, in which you can emote like a loser and question why you're playing Fortnite and not something actually good. You can also use Overdrive, which is basically a points modifier that you get for hitting notes for an extensive period of time. By completing acts on the main stage and completing quests, you'll get festival points, which you're gonna need in addition to the festival pass to unlock new songs to play. While yes, most of the songs that Epic has put into this mode are DMCA and copyrighted, Epic did throw in a few songs of their own so that creators can actually make a video on this game mode and not get struck down by the YouTube demigods. So I'm gonna let a little bit of one of those non-DMCA songs play, just to prove that yes, I can actually play Guitar Hero if I really wanted to. I mean, I did make videos on Friday Night Funkin' like 3 years ago, so I think I know what I'm doing. I think.
Oh no.
At the end of the day, sadly, all of these game modes have their fair share of issues that I encountered, and I want to talk about some of the problems that I encountered whilst making this video. I'm going to talk about each game mode individually when I do this, so let's start with LEGO Fortnite. Grab a seat, because this is going to be a long segment. I find that the linearity of difficulty that Epic went for is alright at best, but it takes away from the feeling that games like Tears of the Kingdom and Minecraft bring to the table. The ability to do whatever you want, when you want, how you want. And while I'm not saying that LEGO Fortnite doesn't have this, it does, but just not enough of it. I just wish that the game was tuned, like say Tears of the Kingdom as of recent, where the game scales 90% of its difficulty towards player power, but still leaves that 10% out for mobs that are meant to be challenging from the start, and not simply say, oh, the Frostlands are hard, deal with it, nerd. I'm not saying that I want LEGO Fortnite to be an easy game. I do want a challenge, but what I am saying is I want to be able to explore and do what I want when I want. I want to explore the Frostlands whilst not getting one shot by a wolf early on. I want to go explore a lava cave, and while I may not be able to stay for very long, I want to at least get some copper to make a rare sword early on, to then go explore the Frostlands and actually put up a fight without needing epic quality gear and charms to do it. In addition, LEGO Fortnite takes its crafting system and makes it feel grindy. Now, most of what I have to say here in regards to the crafting system is for the late game, but once you start to get into the Frostlands and snow caves, materials like bright core, copper, and iron, they just start to become materials that you have to grind stacks of for extensive periods of time. If you thought you were going to be leaving the dry valley, well, I have some news for you. You're stuck here in hell with me. I just wish that some of the crafting requirements were toned back just a little bit, or maybe make dry valley caves be a little larger and have a bit more mineral density. Make some of the minerals spawn in snow caves, or just straight up have bright core and obsidian spawn frequency be increased. Brutes are something that I want to bring up, particularly in their spawn locations. There isn't really any real way to find them. You sort of just have to roll up on them and gas them up. I would love for there to be some kind of structure or something to help us better identify where brutes are in our worlds, and not just have to run around for what feels like hours on end finding brutes to kill for scales, just so we can craft some items with them. And for these places to be respawn points for those brutes. That way we won't have to worry about finding a new one all the time. The in-game map feels a bit strange. I don't like that you can't see all of it at once, making it so that you have to travel in a direction that you may not want to go in just to see a cave that you've passed or even your base. In addition, I'd love to see a mini-map of sorts somewhere on the HUD. I know that breaks the immersion a little bit, but trust me, you'll thank me later. There is hardly any music in this game. Yes, there is music, but it doesn't really feel like it's present at all. I want there to be some overworld music at the least, just something to play in the background when you're running through the grasslands or walking in the sands of the dry valley, as some examples. I would love to see some better clarification on caves, particularly to the entrances of caves, because the entrances to them, in my opinion, should be a little more obvious. Make them stick out from their surroundings, that way we know for a guaranteed fact that we are looking at a cave and not a similarly covered rock. And lastly, I want to see some more variety with the enemies. Most of them are recolors and do similar attacks. I want to see some new abilities be added, make them stand out from the rest of their counterparts, and force players to really think and strategize about what they're doing when they're going into battle. Alright, that's LEGO Fortnite done, so up next is Rocket Racing. Rocket Racing feels like a solid arcade racer, with loads of potential to be something that enters the competitive scene in the future, and help innovate on what multiplayer arcade racers can be. But even so, it's still got some strange issues. The collision physics feel very, how do I put this? They're giving me some very 2007 Source Engine vibes. People hitting other cars feels like I'm playing Gary's Mod and controlling the cars with a physics gun. Hitting a wall doesn't really feel like I'm hitting a wall. It feels like I'm hitting a strange spongy piece of cardboard ripped straight from the back rooms. And the car's behavior in the air leaves just something more to be desired. And it feels like the car is floating in space in multiple instances. The fact that you have to spend real world money on V-Bucks to purchase bundles to use any other car than the starter Rocket League buggy is cringe as hell. Now again, this is Fortnite, and this is the king of microtransactions, so I can't say that I expected this, but still, I just wish that in future updates, Epic allows players to earn new cars through either ranking up in ranked multiplayer or by completing quests via races. Otherwise, it's going to get pretty boring pretty quick, and it's going to continue to prove that Rocket Racing might be a pay-to-win game mode, which is going to turn some people off from playing it. And I say this knowing that the ranking system can help save this effect to some extent, given that I'd like to assume most of those pay-to-win people are going to be in the higher brackets, but that doesn't necessarily eliminate the problem. And lastly, the track selection, whilst being at 26 tracks, is still a bit limiting, as a decent chunk of those tracks are reused versions that are more challenging with some potential route changes. This is something that we've seen in many other races over the last few years, so this isn't necessarily anything new per se, but it does suck given the amount of material that Fortnite has under its belt to use. We already know that creator-made tracks are coming later this year, so hopefully this is fixed within the coming months. And lastly, let's talk about the Fortnite Festival. The festival just feels a bit lackluster, if I'm honest. There really isn't anything wrong with this game mode, if I'm honest, actually. It feels and plays about what you'd expect, given that it's based on Guitar Hero. So instead, I want to provide some recommendations to the developers to add to this game mode. I would love for there to be a way to somehow import songs from even our PCs or Spotify playlists, whether this be a folder that the game reads from to detect songs, something akin to maybe a Steam Workshop, but for this game mode specifically, or just being able to connect a Spotify account up to the game. I think it'd be a good idea, and allow anybody with any taste in music to find themselves a song to jam out to. I would also like for there to be a way to toggle a streamer mode of sorts. That way content creators can actually play this mode knowing they're not going to get their paycheck smashed in. I would also love to try to incorporate some kind of ranked multiplayer function into the Fortnite Festival. Now there already is multiplayer built in, but you really can't do much with it because you can't see any of your opponent's highway tracks, and it generally doesn't really make much of a difference in the gameplay perspective, which is lame. I would love to see a version of this game mode where players go head-to-head online and can see what their opponents are doing in real time. Have a ranking system in place that's similar to Rocket Racing's ranking system, allowing for harder songs to be played the better your ranking is, and to go up against harder opponents. Perhaps you can make it so that you don't know what songs you're going to be playing and are forced to adapt on the spot. And maybe you can receive more festival points this way, as well as exclusive rewards. As much as I've said about the faults of all three of these game modes, they're still fantastic to play. And while I'm being pretty harsh on them, this is just the things that I encountered while playing all of them for around 20 hours. I just hope that the developers watch this video because, yeah, it'd be awkward if I said all this and then nothing of any sort happens. Although, it would make sense if that happens because who's gonna listen to someone who only has 1,500 subs? So, what are my final thoughts on the current state of Fortnite in 2024? Minus the Battle Royale part. I firmly believe that all three of these game modes are great additions to Fortnite. It helps allow players who were never interested in the game to visit it for the first time, and allow current players to try something new with genres of gaming that they may not be used to. I guess it's a good way to show people the underappreciated genres of gaming. That's not to say that racing and Lego are underrated or underappreciated, because they definitely aren't, but my point is, I'd imagine most people who play Fortnite are people who like BRs and shooters, and not so much Lego, racing, or music. And I think that's what Epic's motive was here. They want Fortnite to be a place where all genres and all players can be welcome. And to be honest, that is a very bold move that I am proud of Epic Games for taking, and it seems like it's working out quite well. All three of these game modes are planned for future updates as we head further into this year, each having their own seasons with new rewards, features, and fixes. Like how Rocket Racing is planning to allow creators to create their own races and challenge each other in ranked leaderboards. And with some recent leaks going around regarding Lego Fortnite, loads of new vendors, enemies, and new items are potentially on the way later this year. And the Fortnite Festival will continue to receive new songs in the future thanks to its seasonal festival pass. Regardless, I'm urging you, for the first and only time, I hope, that you should install Fortnite and give these game modes a try. I think that you may come around and actually start to like this game for the first time, or for the first time in a long time. I don't play this game for its Battle Royale format. I play it for stuff like this. And now that Epic Games is slowly starting to fully embrace that, I think that a lot of people are going to want to play this game. And it's amazing to me that Fortnite has been around for as long as the Nintendo Switch, and it's still popular nearly 8 years later. And I'm impressed that its developers have kept it going for this long. This video is quite literally a one-off. I did not plan to make this video in early December. This was something that I wanted to surprise all of you with. I don't plan on making another Fortnite video in the future, unless if something major like this happens again, or if this video somehow does like really well, like over 10k views well. So this is just something that I cooked up just for you guys. I wanted to breach out of my comfort zone just a little bit, and I think playing Fortnite is probably the best you're gonna get out of me. Regardless, I've had enough of playing this cringe simulator over the last month, so I'm gonna head out. My name is PandaPowerSauce, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.